All right, so I think I'm recording. Let's take a look at problems 14 through 17. They're on this Skill 3 review packet. Here they're wanting us to read a graph, and they're also wanting us to read this graph using function notation. So we have to recognize that when we see an F, that this is really asking for a Y coordinate. And it's giving us a little bit of a clue of what X coordinate is associated to this Y. X is -2. So I know that on my number line right here, here's X is -2. Now if I go down, I'm never going to be on the graph. So if I'm at X equals -2 and I go up, hey, I need the Y coordinate of this point. So I'm just going to have to estimate it, and I'm going to estimate it to be 1.5. Now maybe you called it 1.4 or 1.6, or even if you called it 1.1 or 1, you're definitely not going to call it 2 or greater, and you're definitely going to not say that it's less than 1. So any approximation of 1.5, hey, that's going to be acceptable. All right. So now let's take a look. This one again wants a Y coordinate, and more specifically, it wants a Y coordinate when X is 0. So let's come up and find, here's where X is equal to 0 at the origin. And if I go up, I'm not on the graph. If I come down, I hit the graph here. So I'm interested in this point. This point has coordinates 0, -6. So in interval notation, F evaluated at X equals 0 is equal to -6. I want the Y coordinate at that point, and here is a Y coordinate when X is 0. When X is 0, the Y coordinate is -6. Now here they're asking me to subtract two Y values. So first I'm going to have to use the graph to get the Y values. So this is not just any Y value, it's the Y value when X is 3. Well, here's where X is 3. If I go up, I'm not on the graph. So if I go down, right here, this point is 3, -6. So this F evaluated at 3, I can replace it with a -6. Now I'm subtracting from that F evaluated at 1. Let's go to the graph and find when X is equal to 1. I'm right here. Here's where X is 1. If I go up, I'm not on the graph. If I go down, I hit the graph right here. And again, this has a Y coordinate of -6. So this F evaluated at 1 is a -6. We have -6 minus a -6. Whenever these two values are the same and you're subtracting, it just cancels each other out and you get 0. All right. Now all of a sudden, they've changed the way they've asked the question. They're no longer asking us for a Y coordinate. They're giving us a Y coordinate. They're saying that Y is -3. So if I come over here and find Y equals -3, I need to be on a point on the graph. So when Y is -3, I need to move out here to the left. And hey, here's a point where the Y coordinate is -3. I'm going to have to estimate that X coordinate. So maybe that's -9.2. And the Y coordinate is -3. But what if instead of moving to the left when Y was -3, what if I had moved to the right? I would have came along and hit this point. And this is the point 6, -3. So it told me that the Y value is -3. Well, that's true for both of these points. And it wanted the X value, and here it wanted the value or values. So there's more than one, or possibly more than one. Maybe there's none. But in this case, X equals -9.2 is related to -3, and X equals 6 is related to -3. So those are my two answers to this problem number 17, and I had to just eyeball, estimate that. So as long as my estimation is reasonable, then you're okay. I can't sit there and say, hey, that's a positive, not, that if you go away far enough, then that's relatively close. No, we're not playing any loopholes. We're not playing any strange games. Try to get as close to that point as you can just by estimating it. Maybe you called it negative 9.1 or 0.3 or negative 9.25, whatever. Hopefully that helps on these problems.